Hello! The new Artifact 2.0 beta is now underway, but some of the new mechanics are a little hard to understand, considering it's just one sentence. Yeah, so this is going to be more of a deep dive into some of the new keywords and mechanics in Artifact 2.0. Before we get started, we should note that this is a constantly evolving beta with gameplay able to change depending on your feedback right now. This video was created on the 11th of June, and past this, cards, mechanics, item shop, everything could change. If possible, we'll update with a note in the comments, or if it's a big change, we'll make a new video. First of all, let's go over lanes and casting cards. The battlefield is split up into 3 separate lanes. In order to play a creep, spell, or enchantment in a lane, you need a caster of the same color in that lane, usually a hero. A creep, spell, or enchantment only applies in the lane you have played that card in, unless stated otherwise. If an ability, such as a unit activated ability, or a regular spell applies something, it only applies during this turn unless it's stated to be permanent. However, if it is an enchantment, for example enchant caster, enchant unit, or enchant tower, it is permanent. If applied to a hero, it will stay on even when they are slain and in the fountain. Let's answer some common questions. I have an enchantment, what can I enchant? If it says enchant hero, you can enchant any hero in that lane. It does not need to be applied to the caster. This also applies to units. A hero or a creep is a unit. If it says to enchant a tower, it can only be applied to the tower the caster is in. This is a change from the original artifact where you could cast improvements cross lane. I have an effect that works with neighbouring cards. Does it apply cross lane? Well, no, because the lanes are broken up. It'll only affect neighbouring cards in that lane. This card is telling me to swap with a neighbour or move a unit. Can I move into a new lane? No, unless it specifically says cross lane or says you can go into a different lane. Speaking of keywords, why don't we go over some common ones that are confused a lot in set 1. Welcome to cross lane. You can play cards cross lane. Cross lane means that you can cast this card with a hero in one lane, but it can target objects in a different lane. You don't have to target something in a different lane. It can be the same lane. If there is an ability that counts or activates whenever a hero casts a spell in their lane, it only counts where the hero is, not where the card effects are applying to. Regeneration is back along with a new keyword, decay. Regeneration and Decay is a buff or debuff that applies to an object, creep, hero or tower, usually temporary through spells or permanently with items or enchantments. Regeneration heals the object after battle damage is assigned in the combat phase, but before the check for death is applied. If battle damage would put an object into negative health, the regeneration must add from the negative number, not from 0. Similarly, Decay damages the object after battle damage, but before the check for death is applied. Decay always ignores armor, even if it's negative armor. Regeneration and Decay apply at the same time, so they essentially cancel each other out. Regeneration and Decay do not apply during force battles, such as Duel. It is a timing ability that only happens during combat phase. Roots, Silence, Disarm, and Stun are debuffs that can be applied to all your units to absolutely wreck your plans. If a unit is rooted, it cannot be moved by cards or abilities. The unit can still cast spells, attack, and use its own active abilities. Big note here, you can still cast abilities that would attempt to move this card, but it will stay in place, wasting your mana. If a unit is silenced, it cannot cast cards or use active abilities, including item actives. It will attack. You can't silence passive abilities. If a unit is disarmed, it cannot attack. However, it can cast cards and it can use abilities. The debuff also applies during forced battles. If a unit is stunned, it cannot cast and it cannot attack. It is effectively both silenced and disarmed. However, it is not rooted. A stunned unit can move with outside help and it still has its passive abilities. Push is a new keyword that pushes things around. When you push a unit, it randomly goes left or right to the next slot. If one of the slots is filled, or if it's on the far edge of a lane, it will just go to the unoccupied slot. If both slots are filled, it won't move. Push does not move units out of a lane into a new lane, and you can't push a rooted unit. Don't you just hate 1/1 blockers? Well, I have a deal for you. Trample. Units that have trample apply excess attack damage to the tower when it battles during the combat phase. It does not apply during forced battles. The excess damage is still applied to the unit, and it ignores regeneration. You'll still need to cover the negative health on your unit rather than healing it from 0. This does mean it's possible to have a unit be assigned excess attack damage, have that damage be trampled over to the tower, and then have the unit survive due to regeneration and healing before the check for death. Feeble is a new keyword that acts in the reverse of trample. All excess damage dealt to the unit goes to the tower. Think of it as if the opponent's card always has trample. Regeneration rules also apply like with trample, and decay does not trigger it. Quick Strike is also a new keyword that lets units get in first before the opponent. During the combat phase, units with Quick Strike attack first, before all others attack in the lane. Regeneration and decay are then applied afterwards to the attacked unit after Quick Strike damage is resolved. Then the check for death is applied. If it didn't die, it will then attack along with all other non-Quick Strike units. Quick Strike does not apply during forced battles. Pillager is a brand new keyword that allows you to get some sweet coin for attacking the tower. Pillager reads, this unit steals 2 gold from the opponent whenever the unit damages their tower. This activates with regular unblocked attacks, trample and siege damage, as well as any abilities the card does, such as with Aggloti Vandal's play ability. No gold left to steal? Well, you won't get 2 gold. Mulch is a new keyword that appears on a few green cards. It reads, when this card is played, draw a card from your deck that costs less mana. If there is no more cards in the deck that cost less mana, you won't draw a card. Currently, there is no way to manipulate the deck, so there's no point in knowing if it's the next card or a random card. Look out for this mechanic to be changed in future sets if we get to manipulate the deck. Less mana is not equal mana. Quick Cast combos well with a new keyword, Scheme. Scheme ability means whenever this card owner passes, trigger this ability. Scheme does activate on the final pass to combat. Scheme abilities are until the end of the round like a regular activated ability unless stated to be permanent. They can be dispelled or purged. Some cards allow you to apply Scheme to enemy units. In this case, Scheme activates only when the player who owns the unit passes, not when the player who applied the Scheme to the card passes. Nom nom nom. Devour is a keyword similar to the Ravenous Mass card from the original artifact. Devour says, when this unit is placed on top of another unit, it gains that unit's attack and health. Note, it does not gain the unit's armor, regeneration or decay, or any of the abilities on the card it's devoured. The devoured card does die, so all death triggers will fire. Aristocrat players, rejoice. If a card is asking you to devour units in a different area, it doesn't go on top of those units, it simply slays them and stays right where it is. Devoured units still give gold to the opponent like normal. Devoured heroes still go to the fountain for the full death timer unless they have rapid deployment. Devour stats can be dispelled or purged. If the unit originally had only 0 health to start with, it will die at the next check for death, usually when the card has resolved. And that's most of the mechanics. Of course, all of these could change with new patches, so for the most accurate rules, keep an eye on the patch notes. And as always, if you're unsure how a card or a keyword interacts while you're in a game during the beta, try it out and see. This new beginning is a perfect place to experiment and play around without rank stress or tournament glory online. Try and find bugs, try and find weird corner cases, and if something doesn't work the way you think it is intended, submit your ideas and questions. And most importantly, good luck, have fun.